Good morning. This is Havla Cunnington with Living the Good Life Now. And we are back on I Do Hard Things, our 30-day devotional. And today we're finishing off our third week of our I Can Do Some Things, which is all about self-love and taking time to really focus on ourselves, because that is holy. That's righteous, to take care of the very thing that God gave us, which is our internal working and our outward man. And so those are our righteous things. So we want to go after that. Well, I would say the church misses this, and most of what they miss is that kind of ability to take care of ourselves without it leading to either selfishness or neglect. And so we really need to find that fine balance and be godly in our response, and treat ourselves with respect, because that is our responsibility. So today we're talking about needs and wants, and we're talking about the things that we need to be a whole person, and so that we can only do some things. And so part of this process is that we can only do some things. It's in our makeup. God did not make us all powerful. He is all powerful. And so it requires us to know what good ideas or what God ideas are in our lives. It requires us to understand what our limits are and why we have needs and wants, and be able to manage those well. I always say that, part of the problem in our lives is not necessarily that we have needs, is that we end up getting them met in an unhealthy way. And that's what leads us to shame and condemnation and addictions and death. It causes us because we're just not getting them met in a healthy way. So that requires self-examination. That requires the Holy Spirit to come in and awake us up to things that we don't even know we're not even doing right. And he says, hey, no, don't do it that way. It's not going to lead to life. And so we interrupt our way of doing life. We interrupt our patterns, and we say, I want to do this right. So it's not bad to have needs. I used the phrase today in our study, God knew what he was getting when he got you. And I just love that thought, because there's so much hope surrounding that thought. That my needs, he knew what he was getting, and he knew that these would be my idiosyncrasies, and he knew that this would be the way that I think about life, and the way that I process, and the way that I need to hear things. He knew all about that. He is not afraid of that. But sometimes it's going to require more work for different ones of us to get our needs met. Some of you are very intense, like me, and we have to get our needs met in a different way than somebody who maybe lets things come at them versus things that come at us and we grab a hold of them. Sometimes we don't know when to let go. And so we have to learn to manage that well. God gave us needs. One of the main reasons he gave us needs is for bonding. It allows us to need other people. It's a right thing. If we don't have a need for anybody, then we're not going to bond with anybody, and we're going to be solo, and we're not going to be connected to anything. I mean, the Bible even says, don't let us neglect the gathering of the brethren. There's a purpose in us being together. He says that he blesses those that dwell in unity. There's power when we're together. There's power when we are meeting our needs together and loving each other. But part of that is that we have to recognize that we have a need for love, true love. We have a need for connection. We have a need to belong. We have a real need that says, I want to matter, that when I get up in the morning, I want to know that people are thinking about me and that I have purpose here. Those are real needs. We have a need that people are impacted by us, that we are not just in the background, not doing anything. We want to know that we have kingdom purpose. That's powerful, and that's what God's asked us to have. And there's fulfillment that lies within that. So we look at that. It also allows us to just know that we are human, and it allows us to need a God, and not just a person, but it allows us to need a God. And we have to get good at that. So how do we do that? Well, we have to be good at expressing our own needs, and we have to own them. When I go to my husband, I can't say, why don't you love me? You don't act like you love me. I did this, and you don't seem to think that you didn't recognize me when I did this. I have to be able to show up, which is very difficult at times, and say, I need you to look at me when I'm talking to you. I need you to hug me when I leave. I need us to have a date night on a weekly basis. And it can feel selfish, but at the end of the day, it's not his responsibility to figure out my needs. That is not the role of a godly person or spouse or friend or best friend. Our godly role is to say, hey, this is what I need. And honestly, relationships work the best when you know what another person needs and you're very clear about it with your spouse, kid, boss, whoever it is in your life, leader, when you know what they need from you, but then internally oppositely, it's best when they know what you need from them. And when it's clearly outlined, it keeps us safe and healthy, and it allows us to grow. It is hard. I get that. It's hard to show up like a grown-up. It's hard to say, I need this from you, because the rejection is that they might say, I can't do that. But at least you're owning it. And if the person says, I can't do that, then you have to look at that with understanding and say, wow, thank you for telling me that. Now I need to find another godly way to meet that need. If I'm not going to get that from my spouse, love and affection, then I'm going to get it from a godly friendship with a best friend or the same gender. I'm gonna go out to dinner with girlfriends during the week and get that alone time. I'm going to find a counselor that I can go and share my heart with that's safe and healthy. I'm going to get my needs met because they're in my yard. They're my responsibility. And for me to expect others to figure them out is not responsible. Yes, it's true. It's not responsible. So we didn't even touch on half of what I talked about in this section, but hopefully today you will get something out of that, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.